Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello,
to
hello.
Combat Lab Episode 2 with, we'll get this right this time. I'll be your host, Shakes, with my two co hosts, Erikai and Wonderbot.
That's me.
And our special guest, but saving the best for last, we have Jason from the Wavedash
Hey,
team.
hey everybody, Jason here. I gotta do the thing, right?
Yeah, the
Hey
thing.
everybody,
Guys, it's your
Jason
boy
here.
Jason.
I'm on Combat Lab.
Here with the Dave Wash boys.
Dave Wash.
How are you doing, Jason?
Oh man, I'm tired, but I'm doing good.
Really? Feels like,
Yeah.
because my understanding is y'all haven't been doing anything lately.
No, I've been really lazy actually.
It's
No
like that
long
good
night.
kind of tired, though, right?
Yeah, we accomplished something. We got a chance to celebrate as a team that we shipped the game. The game's on 24 hours a day, so last night I was playing at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Pretty fun.
It's on 24 hours a day. That's
Nice.
actually like almost. I was talking with JFist on Twitter just earlier today. Like JFist, okay, JFist is level 30 in icons right now.
He's
By the way,
grinded the game more than anybody.
that's
Hey,
insane.
I'm getting close. I'm at 26.
What? How?
Wow.
Like, do you not?
Somebody
Like,
made fun
Hey,
of me
man.
for only
Do
being
you-
at 13 yesterday, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm doing my best.
I know I'm at 14. I'm at 14. I feel like I play the game all the time, but here we're like, the game
Yeah.
being up 24. It's we always talked about like, that oh you just open up the game and press the A button and you're in a match. But like now that the game is actually live, I almost think that's a problem, Jason. And I'd like to see Wavedash fix it for me.
Oh,
Or for JFist because apparently he actually lives and breathes icons right now.
how about I just make even more content and features that you'll be excited to play with every day?
Okay.
Ooh.
All right, I
Oh,
see that.
more
I like
content-
that
Current
PR
plan.
response. You back that
Compromise?
up? You
Compromise?
back up that PR response, and I'll take it. I'll absolutely take
Okay.
it.
Well, speaking of more content and features, in the past 7 days since early access launch, we've gotten quite a bit of changes, and not just changes that were already in the pipeline. Almost all of these have been in direct response to community feedback and things people wanted to see changed, and we saw it probably quicker turnaround than I've ever seen in an early access launch, quite honestly. Um, First off, obviously the elephant in the room for the past week was free to play system, right? And while there were two sides to the argument. Some people like myself felt that the numbers were fine and kind of thought everything was okay, but there were some requests that I think had a lot of logic and justification to back them up. And sure enough, first off, we get 1100 Spectra for free. Anybody who's playing the game gets it, including if you launch the game and made an account for the first time after that, correct?
Right. That is correct.
So that's
I think
enough.
The,
Good.
I think the training room change is huge, and I was personally that was the thing I was
Ding.
looking forward to the most. Is like all characters, you get to at least like look at them, try them out, see how they feel, and move around or experiment with them, and then that way you kind of know like what you're getting into when you save up those points, or you pay a few bucks for a character.
So I guess just stemming off of that into a question already for you, Jason. Because while I mean the free to play changes have been fantastic, right? Like I don't think anyone looks at it and says, does this really, But it all happened so fast. I actually almost wonder, like, how much of this was. I feel like you guys had to have been like at least had an idea of the things you might have to do after launch, right? I know what was because
Sure.
going into the free to play monetization process, I assume you knew you had to be flexible at some point and some points, but what was the team's like kind of process to getting to where we are now and then to continue to get where we are going to?
Yeah, I mean, game development is always about flexibility, right? You build plans and then priorities shift. And Wavedash made a choice very early on that we were going to develop out in the open. We announced we were building a game like this in 2016, right? So we've been working alongside the community since 2016 on this. Um, so, first of all, we would not have been able to get the game to the bar of quality that we have if it hadn't been for amazing community members working alongside of us. So as we go into something like early access, especially when we know, our monetization systems came online in June, just, a couple of weeks before we went into early access, We knew that something was going to go wrong, right? We've got free-to-play DNA all through the studio, right? People have worked at Riot, people have worked at Blizzard, people have worked at other big companies that have worked on free-to-play games and done them well. We knew somewhere something was going to break. That's the reality of game development. So what we did was we put together like a list of things that either we already knew that we wanted to build and just weren't ready in time for launch, and then things that we might have to respond to. So you're just always planning with game development, and the point here is not to get it right the first time out the gates. Like, this is the whole point of doing an early access is you release the game once it's in like a playable and fun state, when you can support it as a as a pseudo product, and then you respond to what the players are telling you. Now Wavedash has built our team specifically to be as responsive as possible. So we have basically cleared the schedule for the next like 4 to 6 weeks just to work on the things the community is telling us we need to make improvements on. That's also why we pushed out like a quick tuning change this week. Is we knew Low Tier City was coming down soon. We knew Super Smash Con was right after that, and we didn't want to do a tuning patch like right before a tournament. So people would be online grinding, and then we say, oh, by the way, now there's 5 extra frames of hit lag, or we've reduced the IASA frames on this move, and it's going to totally change the way that you're approaching neutral or something. So we are doing our best to try and listen to what the community is saying and respond quickly and focus on building great stuff that is going to make people happy, so that when the game comes out of early access and we launch and we go worldwide and everybody has a chance to play this and we get a chance to grow this product, it will be in the best possible state. And we can only do that because we do it alongside great people like you.
Wow. I can imagine that transparency is kind of like a two-edged sword. On the one hand, the value is like, in the long term, is huge. Like, people will be like, wow, Wavedash really considers us, and there's so many different channels of feedback. And on the other hand, I can also imagine that it might be like a little scary to take your product and a thing you've been working on for like the last 2 years, and like, okay, here's what it looks like right now, and then get feedback. but
Yeah.
the value, I think, is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you see a lot in new game developers when they come into game development for the first time. They're a junior in a role, particularly with like artists. They want to work on something until it is perfect and it matches their vision, and then do like a grand reveal and be like, here, look, this is an amazing thing that I made. And then by the time you get to that point, you're like desperate for people to like it, right? You like really want, I put all this effort into making this beautiful thing, please like it. And so the criticism when it comes at that point is really painful. You have to learn as a game developer that you show things early, you show things often, and you collect feedback over time, and then you're constantly iterating and making things better. Now, that requires a relationship of trust, right? And that's hard when you're building a game development team to begin with, right? Because it's like people who haven't necessarily worked together before, or my aesthetic's different from their aesthetic, or whatever. So like, you have to build that relationship of trust where you're sharing those things early and iterating and changing. It's that much harder when you're dealing with enthusiast press and streamers and bloggers and YouTubers and gamers and pro players and podcasters and everybody else who see your game in an unfinished state and you say, hey, help us make this better. What do you like? What don't you like? It's really painful to go through that process of people being like, this sucks. Because we live in a reactionary time, right? Where like social media and news and all that type of stuff is built on the headline. So people feel the need to express those feelings very strongly, and that's painful. But if you're willing to listen to people and kind of shave away the emotion of it, right? Because like, you can't ever make emotion go away entirely in this, because game development is not just science, it's also art, and so emotion's always going to be involved. But shave away the emotion of it, get down to the core of what people are telling you, and look for trends in that, and then respond to that. We could not have built our game to the quality that it's at right now if it hadn't been for being willing to do that, because we're a small team. I know that people talk about the money that we raised to found the studio, but the reality is like, we're up against games that have like 30, 40, $50 million budgets, and we have much, much less than that to work with. So by being willing to go through the pain of getting told when we've messed up, or when we're not perfect yet, it's allowed us to make the game better faster, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to do during early access, so that by the time we launch character 10, 11, 12, all the rest of this stuff is solved, and you can just enjoy the content and have a blast playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 6 million, I want to say, right? Was like
that was our Series A.
Which is like, really, I think that's a lot of money, but when you're considering a game like over the course of like years, and like a development over years. I don't know, 6 million. I feel like I see numbers thrown around, but 6 million's not actually that much in this kind of industry. Where like as you said, like there's just behemoths out there that can just throw piles of money everywhere.
Yeah,
But
and I tweeted about this earlier. Like, I feel like the perception of how much it costs to make a game and to make a game at a really high bar of quality is really skewed. Um, you have companies put a game up on Kickstarter and they're like, "Look at this amazing game. Uh, we just need 300,000 to finish it." And so people think that like that's how much it costs to make a game, but reality, that Kickstarter campaign was like a marketing campaign, and it was just a pre-order thing to get people excited. And what you were really funding was like the DLC, the day one DLC or whatever, right? That's what you were really spending on. So it's expensive. It takes a lot of work, particularly to do a game as ambitious as what we're doing. But we've achieved a lot with a little bit, and it's because there are a bunch of really passionate game developers who believe this game needs to exist. There's a bunch of really amazing players out there that are excited about playing this with us and have helped us make it better.
Not to
so
mention that there are games of like all kinds of different scales, right? So like there are excellent games out there that are on a smaller budget, and then there are really, really big games out there, and lots of games in between. But I'd like to comment on something you said earlier, like how you when you're starting a new team, things can be complicated early on because you're just getting to know people, and it's like a brand new relationship. And I was gonna say, like, it's very similar as a brand and a community. Like, you have all these people, like you said, bloggers, streamers, content creators. It seems like everyone these days has a stake in games, whether that stake is good or bad. And as a new company, like as Wavedash, like you are getting to know the community, and the community is getting to know you guys, like basically for the first time.
Mhm.
So that can make things interesting and a little challenging early on.
Yeah, certainly. I think we had the benefit of we started very early on engaging the community, and so we've been able to build that trust over time, right? And so, we had times where we sent out, a wave of invites during closed beta, and a bunch of new people would come in, and they'd get in the Discord and they'd be like, "Wow, this thing really sucks. I'm so mad about this." And the people who had been with us since, November, December, who had started playing, were like, "Hey, look, we complained about this in January, and they had it fixed in February, and then we complained about this in February, they had it fixed in March." Um, the Wavedash team is here, they're listening, they're responding, and so we've been gradually building that trust with a segment of the audience. We're going to see now that we're live, the audience is going to grow really fast, and so there's going to be a whole lot of people, a whole lot of emotions coming in and saying like, this thing's bad, that thing's bad, and we're going to have to prove all over again that we're listening and we're trying to do our best to respond to them and make an experience that feels fun, fair, competitive, and exciting, something you're going to play for 5 or 10 years.
So
And
how's would you say how's the team handled it there? I mean, we've seen because like you, Reno, Strong Bad, and like Scav, I'd probably say are like the most visible of the
Sure.
Wavedash staff.
Well,
But
I've had
like
the pleasure of meeting some of them in person, so they're extremely
yeah.
visible to me.
So, but like, what's the because you were mentioning this is a little bit before, but this is a it's not easy, I'm sure, to go into the internet head first at all and say, and do anything. But you know, what's you guys said you kind of you had a clear schedule for this. You guys were, you guys mentally prepared for it. Is everyone there? Like, how's the mood? How's the mood in there, Jason? Tell us what's the social life going on? How's going on at Wavedash?
We had a really great launch day. Everybody, we feel like we've been on a journey together, right? Shipping a game is like it is an experience like nothing else for sure. Maybe there are other things. Maybe it's like making a movie or whatever, but it's got its own set of challenges and everything. So we talked a lot about how we had been on a journey together. We have this big milestone. We have a story to tell. There's some great stuff, but now we have a lot of work ahead of us. And I've been warning the team since we got started. Like, look, the real work begins once we get to early access, right? Like, we put in a lot of work to get here, but now it's our responsibility to our players to hear what they're saying and keep adapting and adapting quickly. So um, I think the mood is good. Obviously, when you get a bad review or people complain or whatever, that can be painful. But I think that the team has spent a lot of time talking about we understand where the pain points are. And so we sit down and we talk about those, and we have a plan in place, right? Like we know the things that we need to change short term. We know the things medium term and long term that we want to do for the product. So everybody's really focused on the goals at hand, and we have a really strong belief that like this product, this free-to-play platform fighter that is fun, fair, and competitive, that this deserves to exist, right? Like, and that's why the team has signed on to work on this project, because they think it really needs to exist and they're excited about it. So everybody is focused on the goals at hand, and of course it stings when somebody says they don't like something, particularly if it's something that you worked on. Of course that stings. But I think everybody's in a good headspace, and we've had some good chats as a team, and we're just excited that we have the opportunity to respond to these things. And we're in a spot as a studio where if we don't have a perfect day one, then the game's over. Being a game as a service gives us the privilege of working alongside a community for years to come to make it better. And we've seen companies model that before, right? You saw what Riot and League of Legends were capable of doing. And not to say that we're going to be that big, but you've seen, PUBG and Fortnite, those developers worked alongside communities of gamers who cared about those things. Even smaller games that have been successful in the esports space, like BattleRite, worked alongside a community, responded to their players, were able to adapt and grow over time, and they built a great product. And their studio, has survived, and they're thriving. So that's the goal for Wavedash too.
And we actually have a really good example here. Just a week after the game had launched, there was a quick patch that came out, and something that we did already talk about was training mode, adding the ability to play as any character. And that's the definition of listening to the community, right? And getting this turnaround quickly. Because I know even in the Discord and on the Reddit posts when people were requesting certain features, this was something that got mentioned a decent amount. And as soon as it was acknowledged that something like this was going to come, everyone was super excited. And sure enough, patch drops, and there's Reddit threads all about it, people changing reviews on Steam and stuff like that.
Personally, when I saw that, I was like, okay, that means like maybe a month or two from now we'll have characters in training mode. And then it was like tomorrow, and I was like, what?
It was really fast. I thought it would be like at least a week. I was like, oh, even the fastest team couldn't implement something.
Well, you got to think too, the build that we shipped with, we had built, a week or two prior, and we did some bug fixing on it or whatever. But a portion of the team was already working forward on new changes and updates and all that type of stuff. So, character number 8's in development. Some new features are in development that we're planning on deploying in August and September. And so a portion of the team was already working on those things. So
I
now
just
we've
heard
done redirected.
Character number 8 in August, September in the same sentence.
I can either confirm or deny.
Maybe.
See now.
I don't want to take any wind out of the sails of Reno or our marketing team.
Wind, huh?
I'm gonna leave that to them.
Okay.
I will
All right. Reno's the next guest on the show. Confirmed. That's the plan.
All right. I will say that I've played character number 8. She's in the game internally. She's fun, and you're gonna love her. And her voice actress is dope.
It's not enough, but I guess it has to be. Okay.
All right.
That narrows it down.
So, and you've seen some. I've seen some Reddit threads of people speculating. Some of it's right, not all of it's right, but there's some Reddit threads out there speculating.
Shoutouts to Oathkeeper.
Yep.
His like collective infographic, that was really, really well done. I wish it blew up more because I thought it was super cool. But
oh man, and character number 9 too. I'm excited.
So okay, are there hints for character number 9 in the game? Can you leak that? Is there any information that we could be gleaning if we looked hard enough?
There might be. Josh and I might have. We might have leaked, like, we might have snuck a couple of references in. We do this, right? Like, when we're putting together art, we'll sometimes, like, sneak a character slow in the background. I actually remember when we revealed Raymer, everybody was like, the hand in the gun that was in Ashani's splash art. I knew it was going to be a gunslinger or whatever. And then I went on Twitter and I pointed out, look in the background of Kid's splash art. And all the way in the background of Kid's splash art, there's a silhouette of a dude with spiky hair sitting at a table being served a drink. So
that's cool.
Raymer had been like sneakily in the background of a piece of art for like 6 months. People had been seeing an image of Raymer and had no idea.
Oh my god, he's right there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's right there. Okay.
The whole time.
So sometimes we sneak a little something in the background. I think you guys saw when we revealed Zurong. when we started teasing her, there was like a little silhouette of her in the background. When we started showing off the stage, you saw Wei Shan with a spear as a statue in the background of the Forbidden Shrine. So we try and sneak little things here and there. I'm trying to think if I left any like specific hints in the current build. I know there, yeah. I'm gonna say maybe, but I can neither confirm nor deny it this time.
Okay.
Well, I guess that means we're going to be looking for something, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some number 8 teasers.
Cool. Cool.
Also, you should pay attention to Discord, because sometimes I troll Discord, but I leave actual clues behind also.
Nice.
Good to
Just saying.
know. Good to know.
Well, character number 9 at here on a
It's time to go on a hunt.
And we did actually, we delivered on Stabby Krabby. I kept telling everybody Stabby Krabby was going to be in the game.
Stabby Krabby, that was so good. That was amazing. Thank you for letting us show that off. The debut at Last Combat Lab, by the way.
Yeah.
That was great.
Okay, so speaking of what we're supposed to be doing on this show, let's tackle these patch notes real quick so we don't end up running a little bit extra like last week. So we already talked a little bit about training mode, adding the ability to play as any character in training mode to figure out your main, all that great stuff. And then end lag tuning is kind of the rest of the patch notes. And I think that out of everything on this list, I don't think anything was done unnecessarily, and I think almost all of it was done, or the community was mentioning a lot of these things that they were looking for in the patch notes. So it was good to see acknowledgement. Whether it fulfilled everyone's destiny, which it never will, everyone's going to want so many things, that'll never happen. I think this was a great patch and a lot of great changes here. Erikai and Wonder, is there anything that sticks out to you in this end lag reduction?
Or you can go ahead first.
Thank you for the small end lag on Raymer's forward tilt. Thank you. This is it. I'm never losing to Raymer again. This is it.
What?
That was my only problem, and now that it's solved,
I don't think that we managed to nerf the character in a super significant way, nor did we destroy anyone's playing style, which I think was valuable there. It was mostly addressing some of the more frustrating experiences where you would successfully shield the first one, and then the second one would come out before you could get out of shield stun or jump away or fight back in some way, right? I think that was the main objective there, where you couldn't get stuck in a state where he could forward tilt over and over again, and you had to accept that you were going to eat one before you got away, and that was the goal.
Yeah, I know I've played a lot of hours since this patch has dropped, and I have not felt like, oh my god, I'm not able to do anything I used to be. I feel like I have to relearn the whole character. I think all these changes are fair, honestly. I had no issue with any of these. So
Raymer's side tilt is still
it's
great.
It's still amazing. It's still
one of the best, or the best, one of those two. Overall, it's like a global change, and I can barely feel like a difference gameplay wise, except it's just a little more honest now.
Mm-hmm.
In a related topic, the overall balance of the game, considering that it's early access, is very good, and you could see that in the representation we have for tournaments. Top 8, mostly, for the most part, as far as I know, almost every event has had a representation of one of each character.
Wavedash Wednesday, that had 150 entrants, and we still had all 7 characters in the top 8. Not only did it have 150 entrants, crazy.
It was 150. Yeah, it was 150 entrants, and the circuit was announced the same day, and it still had a ton of people.
Yeah, actually, we should talk a little bit about the circuit here, and I'm sure Jason, you could provide some insight on the thought process going behind it. But for those who are unaware, last week, or no, not last week. This was yesterday. Yesterday.
Yep. Yesterday.
We had the Icons Challenger Circuit announced, which is super, super exciting, especially for anyone who's going to be attending and playing in the Icons tournament at Super Smash Con, which we'll kind of touch on a little bit later. But the Challenger Circuit is a series of qualifiers, both online and one offline, that are free to open for all of them, except for the offline with LTC. Obviously, you pay whatever entry you normally would for any tournament. And not only are we just giving out circuit points, we're getting some actual tangible prizes from this right off the bat. We're talking online tournaments made by the company that made the game 1 week after it's in early access, and we're getting physical prizes or currency prizes, whatever you want to call it. That's pretty exciting, honestly. And sure enough, the turnout showed. In week 1, we had over 150 entrants, which is definitely a record for any tournament we've seen in Icons so far.
By like double.
By like double. I believe it was
Doubled.
75 before that. Yeah.
75 was the largest before. Way to steal the thunder, Wavedash. But I also have to thank y'all. Okay, go on, I guess, because this is the next part of it. But...
Yeah, so this is really exciting. We have some of the tournaments you already know. Well, I guess all of them you already know that were going on in the community with Hycons, Libverse, and the Wonder Games are actually all going to now be affiliated with the circuit. And all these events you can get circuit points from in placements 1 through 4 with some extra swag here with an Icon's hat, which I would really love to see, by the way. I'm very curious what this looks like. Shirts, pop sockets, and then obviously most important circuit points, which will influence seeding if you attend Super Smash Con, which is really, really cool. So we don't have to worry about our first ever event being a mess of seeding, which is really great, actually.
And that was important to us. SmashCon is actually really important to us. I have a deep love for the event, specifically because when Matt and I first decided to start the company was in July of 2015, and they had asked if we would come out and give a talk at Super Smash Con. And it was, we had really just got the ball rolling, so we went out and we gave a talk on how esports and what you're learning playing competitive games and participating in esports events and going to events and that type of stuff can help you develop a career in games. So we started with that. It was their first year. It was our first year. So each year as Super Smash Con has grown, Wavedash has come back and has been able to be a sponsor and help grow. So the next year we came back and we had our first demo build with really cheap art in it and kind of the basis of like a game where it could go. We play tested with people, got some feedback, and then we went back last year with a booth, and we got to show off the game in an alpha state. So this year we get to come back with a tournament, and so we really wanted to make sure that we were starting small, 64 player bracket, but we want to make sure that the experience is good and that the players who have been playing online and participating feel like when they go into the event that they're going to get seated correctly or at least close to correctly as you can a month into a game's launch, and that the tournament feels like the top 8 really matters.
Is there going to be a stream for that event?
Yes, we have about 90 minutes of stream time. We will probably we're talking about how we can do maybe some recording on the side to get some of the other matches recorded and uploaded to YouTube someplace. But we're going to do 90 minutes on the mainstream for some portion of the top 8.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And like as the TO and only representative of the Wonder Games, it's really, really sick that you guys are, that I was messaged like, hey, do you wanna I've known about this circuit for a week and a half, 2 weeks now, something like that. It's really cool, and to me that like shows. I mean, we can go on about like, oh, well, you guys are in the Discord, you guys are responding to our feedback, but like from a more like esports perspective, like the Wonder Games 7 was huge, like, and it only took all, having Wavedash backing. I'm sorry, Wonder Games 6 was huge, and the Wonder Games 7 will be even bigger at this point. Like if Wavedash Wednesday is anything to go by, it's really cool to see how willing you guys are to not just like respond to community in game, but like out of game, like with an esports ready title, right? With this idea of a game that's like here for the competitive scene. It's really cool to see you guys reach out to me, to Hylian, to Liberation, to help us out with our own little tournaments. So
yeah, we're having a lot of fun watching this stuff too. I watched Arakai's matches yesterday until he was out, and then watched Tandoori, and then watched Grand Finals and screamed at my computer a whole lot.
Dude, Grand Finals was a riot, I have to say. Even as somebody who Wei Shan is not my #1 favorite, I got a huge kick out of Grand Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Mime stream is always a good time.
Best soundtrack on Twitch.
Best soundtrack on Twitch. What did he play this time? I only got to tune in for a little bit. I know he did Alien Food, with last time. What did he do yesterday?
The Pokemon Christmas album.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Mr. Mime.
Which I didn't even know existed, to be honest, until yesterday. So
it is evident to me that then our number one player is clearly some kind of genius, and it is visible from all angles.
Big brain.
I think maybe if you just meme hard enough, you start to look like a genius to other people, even if it's on accident. I don't know. We'll see if he can. We can see if he can keep it up.
And speaking of keeping it up for Mr. Mime, we can take a look real quick at. I know we acknowledged some of the players and some of the matches in the tournament from yesterday, but Mime taking it again in the grand finals.
For those that don't know,
I'm looking fantastic.
Mr. Mime's Smash.gg username is Backstreet NSYNC.
Yeah, Backstreet NSYNC is Mr. Mime.
Yeah.
Real quick, shout outs to Smash GG because their tools are fantastic. It makes it so easy to run an online tournament. It would have been much, much harder to do what we've done with the community if we had not had their support. And I know Reno's had several calls with the Smash GG crew to talk about how we can best work together to make sure they had our assets, the tournament ran smoothly, and thanks so much for everything you all do.
Yeah, Smash GG, I know that Hylian and I both got like personal tutorials on how to use everything in Smash GG. It was really, really cool. Smash GG coming out and helping us out, helping us out was really, really cool of them. I still kind of bungled up. I may have made top 16 best of 5 on accident, but like still really, really cool. And big thanks to them because there's a lot of cool data, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the tools on Smash GG. Hasn't been seen yet, but it's there. You guys just wait.
One thing I want to touch on really quick about how the tournament was running quickly. Like it was about 3.5 hours, maybe a little over, and that's in pool 2 in losers bracket. There was like a couple people who had to wait to do their matches because of like some internet service providing issue.
Yeah. So
the tournament went lightning fast despite a holdup of like what I think was like a 20-minute or half hour of losers bracket matches.
Yeah,
guys,
like
I've been to 20.
It would have just been like 3 hours flat.
There are 20 people locals who ran longer than
yeah.
Wavedash Wednesday ran on yesterday. It's insane how it's. I looked at the start time and I was like, wow, it's 7 o'clock. Are they going to be able to? Are they going to be able to finish this at like a reasonable hour? And then I blinked and it was over.
Yeah,
Jeez.
This is something I can actually speak a little bit to as well. In my history of competitive gaming, I actually did a lot of Call of Duty. That's like a big chunk of my gaming past. And oh boy, going from game battles matches and game battles tournaments and dealing with that support staff and trying to get matches to run and proof for matches and so on and so forth. This was heaven. Just going in and seeing like, okay, room's up. Okay, next step. All right, who are you playing? Like, I didn't even have to think. It's just everything is right here for you. What button are you going to press? And then bing, bang, boom, set's done. It was, it's the best thing I've ever seen. It's so exciting.
So I guess moving on to the actual tournament results. So we've had three big tournaments, or I should say online tournaments since the last Combat Lab. We had HighCons 3, we had the Wonder Games 6, and we had Wavedash Wednesday 1. Big takeaways from all of them is that Mr. Mime is still amazing. He got second at HighCon, second at the Wonder Games 6, and first at Wavedash Wednesday. Olsey and J-Fist still also looking incredible. Olsey won Wonder Games 6 over Mime. J-Fist won HighCons over Mime. They're looking like the only two that can even really come close.
Was that the set with the sick Ashani combo that got posted online where he like forward air, jump back to the wall, wall jump, forward aired again, or something like that? That was amazing.
On Forbidden Shrine, yep.
J-Fist is very, very quick.
Erica, you should know, Mr. Erica.
He's a very fast player.
Had a rough time yesterday, did you?
He's on a tempo that is just like a few steps above like 90% of the player base or more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a few of those players that just make you feel like maybe I'm not playing the same game as this person.
I had so many strong and like I thought like well-founded and like well-backed up opinions on Ashani, and then I watched J-Fist play, and then all that's just out the window. So.
He makes her look. Oh god, do you know how I feel, dude?
Oh, I'm
I have
sure.
all of my thoughts. I have like, oh, I play this character all the time. I do pretty well with Ashani, and J-Fist like. He's so good. It's almost discouraging how good J-Fist is. But he's clearly not that good, though, because Tandoori actually knocked him into losers. 6 stuff to Tandoori, getting
Tandoori.
3rd place at Wavedash Wednesday.
Not
He
only
Tandori, and Eric I knows this because he was also a panelist for the community power rank before early access. Tandori was someone that every one of the panelists we all wanted to like. We were all like, Tandori's really amazing. Like we all know this, but he just kind of he was sick one day and just had a kind of a bad run. Like he got kind of upset, won a real big upset, and he didn't really he just didn't really perform how we all knew he could, but Tandori really, really showed up at Wavedash. Shout outs to him for being a god. So
his
just
stream
throwing that out there.
was on fire yesterday.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
was crazy.
It was constant alerts during the later matches for sure, which was awesome to see. Tons of support coming out for everybody.
When you go off, you earn it, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He earned all those follows.
Very true.
He did. He really did.
And also, since last week, we had a couple of offline tournaments that a certain two hosts of a certain talk show both won.
Just saying that the Combat Lab, we're here to play and see us in LAN. See us in LAN.
I mean, you can't
That's
argue.
right,
There
that's
has
right.
there has not been an offline Icons tournament that we know of that a Combat Lab host has not won yet.
On that note, everybody, like we don't. I'm sure there's a bunch of LAN events for Icons going on right now. It'd be actually kind of sick to see people want to send us your regional, who's good in your region, who's doing well at your locals. Like absolutely hit us up. We'd love to be able to, even obviously the more people, the less we can spend time on it. But it'd be cool to see, online players. We only do so much. I know that at least at my local 2 days ago, there were a couple players who did surprisingly well. Like Studebaker Hawk, he got second place over Arsenals, and Arsenals have been doing pretty well in all of the online brackets. You never know who's gonna maybe the online just isn't their style. Maybe sitting at home just isn't their environment. It'd be cool to see who's doing really well in LAN throughout everywhere, right?
It's definitely a little bit of a different atmosphere. It's adrenalizing. You have all the people behind you if you're on the stream setup, and there's lights, and it's really loud. And some people thrive in that environment a little more than others. And personally, it had been a long time since I'd gone to an event like that, and I missed carpooling with my buddies, and then watching them go up on stage, and my friend G-Pick, who's a caster, laughing about the game with his other friends. It was just all wow, it has been a long time since I did this. This is so much fun. And then I get to go up there, and I had a very good evening that night. That's all I
You did all right. You did okay.
Yeah. We made sure we had a hype grand finals, took it all the way to game 5, and then finished it off with a Raymer dare,
The big dive kick.
the dive kick.
So who here saw my EMP punch to take Grants 3-0? Who here saw my EMP
Oh
punch
my
to take
goodness,
Grants
dude.
3-0?
Yeah.
Come on.
It was pretty.
Dude's sick. I'm very, very proud of that single moment.
Drop the clip.
You know what? Yo,
Hey,
Oh,
if you want to
I'm
send
gonna
it to
retweet
me.
it right now because I definitely dropped it the other day, and I'm stunned at how few people were impressed by my clearly 10 million IQ massive brain play. But
Hey now, you play a Shawnee, not Raymer. It's 1,000
that's
IQ.
true.
I'm actually very interested to see how LTC is gonna go now with Wavedash.
Oh
The
my
results from
gosh.
Wavedash Wednesday and the 2 offline tournaments we've had. And I will also speak to, in my personal experience, I've been playing Teals a little bit in quick play. He
Teals
is
is
scary good, and he's barely
Very
been playing the
solid.
game. He's only been playing for a few
There
days,
are-
as far as I know.
There are some
Teals-
players out there that we don't even barely know about who are going to be crazy in the next couple months or sooner.
Guys, Hyperflame is gonna be at Low Tier City. Do
Yeah.
we have a read on this guy?
Hyperflame is actually amazing. He played quite a bit in the beta, and
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those players that made me go, "Oh, I made a game that I am never going to be the best in the world at." Right?
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Yeah, for sure. I think I know that he's just been doing a lot of things less. Even in other games, I think Hyperflame has just been kind of off the radar for a lot of it. And Low Tier City is one of his big comeback kid is my understanding
what
of it.
happened.
Yeah, T-Lock came up to me and was like, "Hey, well, we want to, get your input for the seeding for icons because you run your tournament and you're more in the scene." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, Hyperflame entered. I don't, because he could just take the tournament and it wouldn't be that shocking. It'd be like, okay, yeah, like Hyperflame's incredible. Okay, no surprise here. But, we also have Ulci, we have Esan. We're going to have, I don't think Coney's entering just off the top of my head,
He's
but
he's commentating as far as I
he's
know.
commentating top 8, I know, and I guess he can't be in top 8 if he's commentating, but Tandoori's going to be there.
Yep.
We're going to have a lot of good players, and even some players that haven't, who I think a lot of the people who have been around in the beta and the closed beta kind of know are really good, but also haven't been as active as of late, like Dr. Drew the Dragon. He's going to enter with who knows what character, because he's kind of been...
I was just going to say,
he's been...
Drew still has top 20 MMR post-launch, so...
Really?
Yes, don't sleep on Drew.
He's
very
consistent.
He's here, right? Drew's going to be there, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited.
Drew plays multiple characters at a high level, too.
Drew's very good.
During closed beta, he played a lot of Ashani and quick play. He's been playing me a lot with Afi and Galu recently too, and has not been bad. So watch out.
His Ashani was really just one of the. He was the best Ashani before J-Fist, right outside J-Fist.
He was.
And then he switched to. I'm sorry.
He was my demon for months. It was I went from January to May without beating the guy, and then I finally took a match off of him in May and popped off in Discord, and he was like, okay, one match out of 50. But I had to pop off because it was finally I took it off the guy.
But I mean, and then he did at the online tournaments he entered as Wei Shan back a month ago, and he did really well there too.
Yeah.
And then now he's Afi and Galu, and he's still doing really well. So I guess he's a good player, but I mean, we won't know until the tournament happens, y'all. I'm taking the gold, just so y'all know.
That's a crucible.
I'm expecting the Wonderbot All-C Grand Finals, but
God, please don't.
We'll see what happens.
Dude, everyone's so good. You have no idea.
I just want to see. I want to see these player cams, dude. Right before the match and right after. That's what I live for.
100%. Yeah, there's a ton. I'm scrolling through the list now, and there's a lot of people who could make some pretty big upsets too. Even if they don't win the whole thing, they can mix up the bracket. A4 is really strong. Pochi's really strong. Boring Man's going to be entering. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do. I played him once in Quick Play. He was playing Afi and Galu. I don't know how much time he's put in the game, but there's definitely potential there for him to do really well. Loyal as well. I think we mentioned Tandoori.
My boy Arsenals, he's going to do work. I guarantee it right now. Arsenal's, by his own words, he has never been outplayed, only gimmicked by the weaker player.
What?
So
same
in any game, but
it's weird how that works.
But in seriousness, Arsenal's is super sick, and he's played a lot less icon than the rest of us, and he's really, really good. And he has a really smart way of looking at the game. I'm very, very excited. I mean, I'm biased because he's Dallas, but I'm very. I think he's going to be. If you guys have I don't know if there's a fantasy bracket for it at all, but I think Arsenal's will be a good pick.
If you want someone who could potentially place 9th, right here, gatekeeper status. I'm committed, man. I got 9th at the Wonder Games. We're set in stone. Gatekeeper. You won't see me ever above that.
Shakes, is this going to be your first in real life event?
Oh yeah, Shakes.
You have to fulfill
the tournament, dude.
The combat lab.
Oh God,
dude, you have to win.
Well, what if
your first in real life event?
Oh, I have to win the first one. Oh boy.
Let's go, Shakes.
If Ulci decides to not show up, then we'll see what we can do. I've beaten him once out of about 30 games on Quick Play, so we'll see.
I mean, if he's on the other side of the bracket, someone else might take care of him for you.
That's
Honestly, true. I'm not looking so good into low tier city just because I know that my kryptonite is going to be provided by Wavedash staff. I'm a little mad that I'm getting personally nerfed for the tournament. They were like, oh well, we can't. I'm too good. They saw my run at the Texas Weekly 2 days ago, and they were like, oh well, let's just we can't do a patch just for one player. So I guess we have to generously order 24 or a dozen pizzas or something with pineapple on them.
I'm I'm excited. I love pineapple pizza. It's gonna be great. It's
Now I
gonna be
feel
a
like I
great
need to go to the tournament build and maybe enable the pineapple pizza emote.
Yes, please. If you can enable that at least on my account, and I'll find you in Bracket Wonder. It'll be worth it. Don't worry.
I'll talk to the engineers. We'll see what happens.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You're funny. You're cute. You know that, Jason? You're cute.
What I'm doing is I'm superpowering you. I'm empowering you to go Hulk mode, right? Someone
Every
throws
person who has ever used the pineapple pizza emote on me in quick match has gotten Ian punched. I'm just throwing that out there. Every single person who has used that has gotten Ian punched.
So I'm not harming you. I'm helping you.
It's true.
True.
Really, it's just fueling my
It's
fire.
not kryptonite. It's not kryptonite. It's gamma radiation. I'm turning you.
It's
The
camera
Wonder
radiation.
Hulk.
Okay. Well, it's official, dudes. Pineapple pizza is the same as gamma radiation. So if you want to be super strong, eat lots of pineapple pizza.
100%. And
Is that how Ashani won over Zana? It wasn't actually the suit. It was or like her own natural ability. It was just a. She had like
pizza.
That hollow is actually her minutes before the match. That's what that hollow is.
You know how Popeye the Sailor Man has like a can of spinach?
I was just gonna say.
Shawnee pulls out like a tin foil of pizza.
Just a tin, not even like a box of pizza. The
the leftovers.
that Shawnee had from the night before.
And one thing to remember too, and this won't apply to you as much, Wonder, though you'll probably be top 8. Circuit points will be awarded at LTC, so this does really matter. Not even just like, okay, first offline big tournament for icons. Like, this will affect the big boy at Super Smash Con. So very important to see who wins.
If I may ask a bold question, Mr. Dave Wash, if SmashCon is y'all are doing a challenger circuit for SmashCon, it's a very early move for y'all to do, right? Like, it was announced less than a week or a week and a half after early access or something.
Sure.
Can we presume that this won't be the last challenger circuit that you guys do, or that there will be more things of that nature? I mean, I don't know I don't know if you guys know the years ahead, but
I don't have details ahead of me right now, like in front of me right now, but we'll absolutely keep investing in the community and esports and all that type of stuff. I can't say, specifically what prizes or what tournaments we're going to be at the moment. Like, I'm sure, like, we're still investigating the best places to be and how we can best support the community. But we'll absolutely continue to do esports stuff. And I have big plans for 2019. Big plans for 2019. I want to go big. One of the things that, like, periodically makes me super happy when I think about it is there is a kid today who has either downloaded icons or heard of icons, or hasn't yet heard of icons but loves the genre, that is going to become a professional gamer playing icons. Like, their life is going to change because we're going to invest in the esports side of things, and there's somebody out there who that is true for, and that gets me excited. That's like, putting a dent in the universe sort of thing. So we're absolutely going to continue to support the grassroots side of things, and then in 2019 I want to look for every opportunity to help not just icons do better, but create an ecosystem around the studio and the game where there are pro players and there are streamers and there's YouTubers, and all of those people are not just making money but having fun and building audiences, and like their lives are better.
Which I think we've already seen. There's actually been a lot of support for streamers, and especially in the tournaments for sure. I'm still blown away at the support there was yesterday in Wavedash Wednesday. So many people that maybe didn't even enter, just coming in and checking it out just because they saw the link in the Discord or on Twitter or whatever it may be. So the support's definitely there, and people are interested in the game. I think all the matches have been sick, and like that the gameplay is genuinely exciting, and that's pretty much all you can ask for in a fast-paced platform fighter.
Yeah,
I'd
doing
like
a lot of.
or go ahead.
No, you absolutely. You.
Okay, I'd like to touch on streaming and icons a little bit. Like, the last couple of weeks, I've just been every once in a while browse like icons on Twitch, and I just want to see like the new faces in stream or people I haven't seen before who are trying out icons, and it's been a lot of fun to just like, hey, talk to them, like, hey, well, you're playing icons, are you coming into this from something else, or how do you feel about the game right now, or blah blah blah, and just like seeing like almost every person is like, this is really cool and I like where this is and this is fun. I have this criticism about the game, but overall yada yada yada. And it's just really interesting how the later on it goes, I see more and more people showing up for those little streams.
Mhm.
And then the tournament streams just like they explode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the tournament, it's actually kind of crazy how tournament streams are a lot bigger than that. I wonder why. I wonder why they're bigger than the not tournament streams. But no, yeah, on the streamer side of things, it's pretty wild. A lot of really crazy support, and that's not, I mean, that's not just you guys at Wavedash, but that's also just the community in general. Very tight knit already. You know, it's
I
I have
recognize
been.
I recognize so many names in the Discord just hanging out in
Oh yeah.
general. Like,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm blown away at how many I remember. Like, I'll see people and I'll be like, "Oh, that's that one guy who plays Raymer that was talking about it like a week ago." Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
many. It's
This guy was the guy complaining about Raymer Down Special for, you know, however long. Yeah, for sure. I get that. I know that feeling for
Yeah.
sure.
so that's really awesome to see. So we actually have a couple of questions which we've actually covered most of the questions we had prepared for you, Jason. But
Sure.
there's definitely a couple I'm sure both us and the community are really interested to hear about. And firstly,
Let's do it.
we've seen you talk and implement a bunch of changes over the past week, and obviously over the beta, listening to feedback, giving us new features, and you kind of talked about rolling out some features in the next couple of months. Is there any insight on things that are on the horizon that may be coming into the game soon that people might be interested to hear about?
Sure, let's talk about it. Some of the tools that we wanted to ship with, we just ran out of time. The game was ready to ship, and it was, you know, it's time to go. We had set a date out there, and sometimes in game development, you need a little extra time to polish here and there, and something slips. So we have some features that will help make the user experience feel a lot better. In particular, we're going to make sure that you start earning Spectra earlier on, so that you can get a skin and that type of stuff for the character that you want. Um, the other thing is we want to make sure that we can guarantee a character in an earlier box than what you're currently getting. Um, that implementation is on its way, but I think the big one that I don't know if we've talked about publicly yet is that we're going to shift the way that you unlock characters from, instead of a character just appearing and it's like, hey, you got Afi and Galu, and you're like, oh, but I wanted Raymer. Um, Instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to award you a token, which will be like a coin, basically, that says this is good for a character unlock, and then you're going to be able to go in and pick the character that you want.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
So-
That's sorry, go ahead.
No. So the goal there is to put more player choice into this process, so that you can get the character that you want, and hopefully you are enjoying the game much more quickly, and playing exactly the character that you want. Now, the scary thing there is, like, you know, sometimes you look at a character aesthetically and you're like, that's my jam. I want to play that character. I like ice characters in games, right? Like, I always like the ice theme.
Same actually.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll pick an ice character and I'm like, this is kind of boring, and I spent money on this. So the scary part is, like, not every person is going to see a character aesthetic and then get the gameplay that they want out of it, but that's why we made the characters all free to play in training mode, so that before you make that choice, you get that coin, you can go to training mode and say, is this character going to feel the way I want the character to feel? Like, I love the aesthetics, but do they feel good? Once you get in and play with that, you might say, you know, I like the way this character looks, but I'm going to wait until my next coin for them, because, you know, Afi and Galu are really exciting to me, and I'm having a lot of fun playing around with their movements and kind of the tricky movement that I can do with them, so I'm going to pick them first. So we want to put more agency in your hands and give you choices, and I think that's really going to help. The other big thing that we're working on is getting online free-for-all going. So that's going to make the early experience a little bit better for more casual players. You're going to be able to come in and say, hey, I just want to learn my character in a fun setting and play a free-for-all match where things are a little bit more chaotic and you've got a little bit less pressure on you. So we're working on rolling out all of those systems over the course of, you know, the next couple of months, to make sure that everything feels good and the new user experience is a lot better, so that more players stick around, they're getting the characters they want, and they're having fun faster.
Okay,
I have
so
a super quick question.
yeah.
With the development of online free for all, does that also mean doubles
Teams?
teams?
So Reno and I both work at Wavedash, so teams is something that we care deeply about. I can't promise teams at the same time as free for all because there are other components that go into it. The game needs to be able to tell on a server
Right.
side how to match people up on teams, assign them, have winners. Also, there's more work that goes into it. But team play and hopefully some other game modes will all be ready before the end of the year. I can't promise that right now, but it's something that is like big on our radar, and it's something we're paying attention to as we go into the fall and the winter. But
So
I love teams and I want to do online teams. My brother plays the game. A couple of my brothers play the game.
Oh man.
I've got a brother who lives in New York that we played together, and I'm in here in Oakland, California. We played games together. We played teams tournaments together for years and years, and now we live on opposite sides of the country. So we're gonna be able to hop online and play together, and I think that's really exciting.
I guess
I know.
the big question about like the I mean, teams is super hype. That's gonna be I'm excited for teams. And even free for all. By the way, everyone catch me in free for all. I'm an FFA god. Just letting you guys know.
Free for all is political, dude.
The question that I guess the big question would be for like especially specifically like the token and things like that and like the Spectra changes. Do you have an ETA, a rough estimate on when we can see that kind of change in the game, or is this I know that's kind of putting you on the spot, but like, do we have like an idea?
I'm wary to give you a specific date because I don't want people to drop into Discord and start tagging developers and going, "Where is this thing? Jason promised that it would be available on this day." I can tell you that work is going on it right now, and it will be implemented over the course of the next series of releases. So you'll see bits and pieces of it come each time we do a patch until we have it in a much better state. But again, this goes back to the continuous improvement thing, right? The reality is like making games is hard, doing economies is hard, tuning things is hard, and so trust me, guys. Like we're gonna do a lot of things right? Like we're working hard to respond to what you want. We're gonna mess something else up along the way. That's just the reality of game development, and it's the reality of life. Fortunately, we're not the types of developers that are going to like stick our fingers in the ears and say we're right, we're right, we're right. We're gonna keep listening. So give us some time. Let us start rolling out these changes over time. You'll start to feel them in the next couple of patches, and then long term, you can start saying like, all right, now that the coin exists and now that the Spectra changes are in, here are the other things that we feel like need to be worked on, and we'll just keep carving out time when whenever we get a surge of feedback, we'll keep carving out time to make the game better.
That's awesome to hear.
It's fantastic, honestly. Just the way y'all handled the launch in general, right? There's a lot of various emotions going on during the launch, and I mean, switching like the token thing, that's a suggestion that I've definitely seen thrown around. Like that's a man, I don't know if y'all had it in mind beforehand, but that was definitely something that like I saw as an idea thrown around a lot. And then even with like that's something that going back to what you said earlier, right? Like it's something that implementing this stuff really quickly can be pretty impossible depending on what it is or anything really. Everything, we have to assume that everything's going to be more difficult to actually do than we think it is just by looking at it or glancing at it. But it's really, really sick, I think, that you guys, I mean, it's like you said, it's built to be like a responsive team and ready to like look at a problem, find out what's really the problem there, and then just fix it the best y'all can. Y'all are doing a great job, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The team really cares too, and they notice, right? They see the criticism and they respond to the criticism. They're working hard to address it, but they also see when people pop in and say, "Hey guys, thanks for listening." They see those things too, and I think it makes their heart happy to see that we are adding happiness and that people understand how hard they're working to make you all happy.
Yeah, I know. After last week's episode, I actually got a lot of responses from staff members directly about how the show and the community's feedback to the show as a whole like really impacted everybody, and that was probably the most proud moment of all this. Forget like the reception we had and the numbers of week one or whatever it may be. Like knowing that we could do something to give back was actually really important. And I know when I first reached out to Wonder and we spoke with Erikai about this, like that was what we wanted. We wanted to be something made by the community for the community. We wouldn't just do this for any game. It's a game that a lot of effort was put into, and it turned out to be incredible. And it's awesome to see this go so well and have so much support behind it. And I know what the changes you guys put in the last week. I know a lot of the opinions that may not have been the best about the game initially have immediately swapped around, like almost 180. So I know once people get their hands on the game, they're going to have a blast with it, especially when they find their main. So really cool to see all that happening.
Thanks so much. That's really good to hear.
So the last thing that I'm sure everyone is going to be asking about, and it's kind of inevitable.
The big one.
Character 8, we're hearing a lot about. We spoke before. Is there anything else that you would like to indulge us?
Anything at all? Like, we said, oh, Jason's going to be on our show, guys. Isn't it great to have insight from a developer of the game? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, the Character 8. You're going to ask about that, right? And that's all they want. That's all I want at the end of the day. Anything.
Let's see. I will give you one word. The word is Shadowbriar.
I hear Google being typed into a keyboard as we speak.
There's at least 20 people
What is it?
Googling right
Shadowbriar
now.
Elementary, Houston ISD.
Oh yeah, there you go.
She's from Houston. That's the.
Shadowbriar is the one word that'll give you. And I will say you'll start getting some teases not too far into the future of what's going to happen. And I said earlier, we've already played with her in the build. We're having a lot of fun. It is we confirmed in our AMA previously female character, float mechanic, and now I'm giving you the word Shadowbriar. So Oathkeeper, do your magic. Go find all the references that you can find. Let us know what your theory is. And hopefully before too long you'll start to see a little bit more and start to put all the puzzle pieces together.
Time to get out the red string and thumbtacks. I'm excited.
All right, I think that's about it. Are we forgetting anything?
I'd like to give one little shout out to people who are out there.
Yes.
I do this every time, but like the content creators, I love your YouTube videos. And this one was a little long, but Absoltastic made another Icons Combat Arena top gameplay clips. And it's really great, and I'd recommend everyone give it a nice viewing if you enjoy the hot clipperinos.
And give his channel a subscription too if you want to see more videos as they come out in the future. And just to be clear, we have no affiliation with literally anybody outside of ourselves, so don't
seriously,
to avoid the shill stuff. So.
Everyone should just be honestly if you join the Icons subreddit, if you join the Icons Discord, there's actually it's Absoltastic. There's Amory has been consistently really funny. There's been a lot of really cool, and even from a stream perspective, right? I know Master WGS has a really cool, he streams Icons sometimes, really cool stuff there. Something that going just a little bit, because I think it ties into what Shakes was saying earlier about doing this for the community. There's so much to give and gain, right? I look at the chat. I have chat open naturally, and I recognize almost every single name in there, and it's a lot of people, and it's people that you can see every day, and they all contribute through discussion or moderation or tournaments or videos, or there's so many things that people do, and or memes. Okay, the meme game in Icons is actually incredible right now. There are really, really good memes. It's definitely it's cool. And if anybody is watching that isn't necessarily a part of the community yet, or is just wondering what's going on, I definitely it's a community that gives back in very fast in a lot of tangible ways, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely check out content creators, streamers, drop in. Even if you just say hi and hang out for a couple minutes, it's going to make someone's day and help the community grow as a whole. So please be aware of that stuff and do that. I have a couple of closing notes I want to give, just kind of about the show in general. In case you guys did not see, we are now officially on iTunes and Google Play.
Yes.
You may not be able to search us on Google Play today. They said it could take up to 24 hours to search it. I haven't checked in a little bit, so I don't know if that's up yet, but it is technically there. I posted a link either on my Twitter or the Combat Labs Twitter, so go check that out. This episode will be up as soon as I can get it up, which will probably be tomorrow or the day after. And obviously I'm going to tweet all that stuff when it happens. And a hot topic in the community for this channel, if and hopefully when we get to the point that there's a subscription button at the top of your screen,
No.
that means we get a couple of things and a couple of features.
Stop.
And I'm actually going to do us all a favor here. And
Okay, hold on. You can't hold on. Wait.
okay, so when we get that button, our first emote will be pineapple pizza. So for the whole community, I know you guys want it.
This is going to be a 2-person stream from now on, huh?
There's
Maybe you should make 2. Maybe you
You
should
know
do
what,
a
Wonder
pineapple
Bob?
pizza. No, listen.
That's a good
do
idea.
A pineapple pizza, and then do a pineapple pizza with the no sign around it, and then people can vote with their remote.
Oh.
That's true.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm
That
very,
is excellent.
so there's a lot of hype around that, and that will be used in, I'm sure, every Icon stream from
Okay,
here to the end of
in
the day, so.
relation to like iTunes and Google Play and all that stuff, I've had some people ask me, will the VODs be on YouTube? Do you have an answer for that, Shakes?
Yes, they will be. We just need to get a channel set up, basically. We have everything saved locally, and we'll be able to put that stuff out there. So,
Rad.
priority number one, based on community request, was get the podcast in an MP3 format for people who miss it. They want to check it out on their commute or whatever. We have it on iTunes and Google Play. And actually, I forgot to mention, we're pending on Spotify as well. So, assuming that goes through, you got 3 awesome options. And I actually checked on my third-party podcast app. I think it's called Overcast, if I remember correctly. You can find us on there as well. So, and I think that's linked through iTunes or whatever. But you can find us, basically, wherever you want us now. And
Am I unmuted yet?
yeah, you're okay. You can say your piece.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just.
I was prepared.
No, you go ahead. I had nothing to say. I was just wondering if I was unmuted.
No, that covers all the announcements on this. And we'll be. Oh, there is actually one more. I forgot. The plan moving forward, and we will obviously update you guys with this. Since LTC's next week, there will not be an episode next week. Expect one shortly after that. Very likely the week after, possibly the week after that. But we are aiming after LTC to try to make this weekly. So if we can find a set day in the near future, we will do that and let you know as soon as we can. But we will make it weekly at the very least. It just may not be the same day every day right now.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Jason.
I was glad to be here.
Yeah, seriously.
Pleasure.
If I may quickly plug, please come to LTC and Super Smash Con and say hi to the staff. I know Strongbad and Scav are planning on being at LTC. I unfortunately have a bunch of studio work, so I need to stay here in Oakland and take care of that stuff. Oakland also happens to be the home of Combat Lab officially in the lore. So I'm gonna miss that, but I'm gonna be at Evo and I'm gonna be at Super Smash Con. So if you see me there, please come say hi. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Please don't be shy. I'm super excited to talk to people, and we're just really glad that you all are playing and giving us feedback. Wavedash and Icons would not be possible without all of you.
And where can the people follow you? Where can the people find your thoughts, Icons thoughts? Where would you?
Oh,
where
that's
do we
right.
get more
Now's the
information?
I'm on Twitter at JasonThinks. Spelled just like it sounds, JSONTHINKS. So if you want to check me out there, but more importantly, follow at Icons Arena on Twitter and at WeWaveDash.
And join the
Those are
Discord.
the company accounts. And yeah,
Join the Discord.
I
Seriously,
pop into
guys,
the
do it.
Discord here and there. Also, you can always get more information about the game, check out patch notes and all that on icons.gg.
All right, awesome.
I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it for
Just
today. So
about, yeah.
thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, you'll find the VOD on YouTube in the near future. Expect tomorrow, the day after, iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff. And yeah, we'll be back after LTC. Hopefully you guys all check out the stream and enjoy it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
All right,
Thanks,
later.
guys.
Have a
Bye.
good one.